Hey everyone, this is Lucid. I'm doing an announcement for an upcoming game. Some of you may have heard about it already since a lot of the other YouTubers who are going to be in the game have announced it. But it's going to be a Let's Play with a bunch of other YouTubers, and I'm going to be playing the nation LA-Mictlan. So there's quite a few cool things about this game. One, and the first thing I want to talk about, is that Daz Tactic, who's one of the guys who's playing it, has made this amazing custom map. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how it's made, but you should go check out his channel. You can watch him stream as he actually developed this. If you have any of the Adobe tools on your computer, like Photoshop and stuff like that, and you're interested in map making, it's not very hard. I mean, it's going to be a little tricky to come up with something like this like Daz did, but you can watch exactly how he did it, and it's totally something you can do in a weekend if you put your mind to it. I watched one of Daz's old videos a while back, and I got fired up to make a map, and I've got a really cool one I'm working on. I've put probably like 300 or 400 hours into it, but I've kind of haven't worked on it in the past month or two, so I need to just go wrap it up and then publish it. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about how we made it. The map is called Endworld. It's on Dominion's Workshop, so you can go look it up, and if you like it, you can give it 5 stars. It was made using a tool called Cartographic Revision, and I'll put a link for that in the description. But basically, I'll give a quick summary of that too, you know how it works. So if you use the random map generator in Dominions, it basically generates a ton of random provinces, and then it's done with the map. And then when you go to start a game, within all those random provinces, it'll do a random set of start points and then say, hey, is this a good set of start points? And then if not, it'll re-roll and do a bunch of different start points and then say, hey, is that good? And then when it gets like good enough, it stops. And so while it usually won't put nations right next to each other, a lot of times the start positions are pretty imbalanced, especially with like where the thrones are. Like you can have like 2 thrones near your cap, or you can have like 2 provinces that you can expand to, plus 3 ocean, but you're a land nation, while somebody else has 6 farmlands all around them. And in some ways that's an exaggeration, but it's also kind of true. So the way cartographic revision works instead is first it makes a map. First it makes start points of where all of the nations are going to start. And for that, you have to put in at the very beginning, before you generate a map, how many nations there are going to be. And then, based on that, it's going to add provinces in a fair manner around each of the different start locations. And then it will place thrones at the midpoints between nations, so you don't start off, like you can see I started off here. There's no thrones in my cap circle, right? The thrones are going to be somewhere, between me and other nations. In fact, in this particular case, there's hardly any thrones in this game just by the default setup that I put in. So there's not many, but... Anyway, so that's Cartographic Revision. It's a tool you can get for free online, and it makes random maps that, in my opinion, are a good bit better than the default randomly generated maps from Dominions. So we were thinking about using that to play, and Daz had basically offered to make a map. And so what we ended up deciding was that Daz was going to do a graphical overlay for a map generated from Cartographic Revision. So he generated first a map from Cartographic Revision, and then he completely redid all the graphics for it, but kept most of the underlying content the same. And that way it would kind of inherently be balanced, and Daz could just focus on the art and not have to worry all the time about the balance. And then once we had it, we ended up tweaking a few things, like exactly what the start provinces were, and then some of the borders, and then some of the throne provinces. So anyway, that is the map. It's called Endworld. You can see there's tons of cool little illustrations all over the map, which are going to be really cool. He may even put in certain provinces are usually going to have certain types of indies. Like a troll forest somewhere is going to have trolls in it, and a little Hobbiton is going to have Hoburg in it. So very cool. Go check it out if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Now I'm going to talk about all the different players who are in the game and what their nations are. So right now we have 9 players. And we have Battle Moose's Ulm. So that's a Late Age Ulm. And I have a video of Late Age Ulm that I hope you check out. It is one of the most strong and cancerous nations in the game, so God help us. Daz Tactic is playing Man. And Late Age Man's pretty interesting. I've seen them win some games in the hands of very good players, so it'll be interesting to see what Daz does. The other thing I should mention is a lot of these guys have done a multiplayer series before, but for Dominions 4. So if you want to check out their Dominions 4, they're playing, in general, the same nation they were, but now in the late age. So they started off, they did one series where they were doing early age, and then they all took the same nation they played in early age and took like the middle age progression of that nation, played them, and then now it's the late age, and they're playing that nation. So, so Das Tactic played Man before, and now he's playing Man again. Dwarf Comic is playing Pangea. He was also in the original series. Sabouts is playing Pythium. He had played Airmore, M.A. Airmore, in the other series, and I think he decided not to pick a nation where everybody would gang up on you and try to kill you. So he picked Pythium. Next we have Wadestar, and Wadestar picked Midgard. Midgard's a pretty damn interesting nation. It's elves. And then I'm playing Mictlan. And I Seen You Before is playing, and he's playing Utgard. And Nucrium is playing, and he's playing the nation Satis, late age Satis, which is quite different than its early age factions, but in some ways similar. So those are all the players. It's going to be a lot of fun. If I have any kind of general thoughts about looking at the nations, we don't have a ton of heavily armored factions. Like Ulm is very heavily armored, and Man is heavily armored. Pangea is kind of like moderate armor. Pythium's kind of moderate armor. Midgard, kind of light armor, moderate armor. Mictlan, I'm very light armor. And then Utgard is kind of moderate armor. Satis, medium armor again. So that is good for me, since I'm not going to be fighting all of the super duper heavy duty late age nations in terms of armor, which is something you do kind of worry about when you pick like a tribal nation in the late age. So I'm going to do my normal thing where I put up a national overview followed by a pretender design. I haven't decided what my pretender build is going to be. So if you have any ideas, this video will go up before the game starts and before I pick my pretender. So I can read things you say. I may not choose to act on any of them, but I will definitely consider them. So if you put in the comments what you think a good build would be, I will certainly look at it. I may even respond to your comments, but I may not actually incorporate it because I'm going to think hard about what I want to do to have a decent shot at winning. The other interesting thing about this game is that it has a cataclysm starting on turn 40. And for those of you who don't know what that means, it means that once we get to turn 40, which is very, very quick, in my opinion, especially with 9 players, it's very quick. By the time we get to turn 40, all the world will be consumed in corruption, and horrors will start randomly attacking provinces, especially thrones. And you'll have doom horrors that land on thrones, and they will fight whatever army they see there, and if they kill it, they'll immediately demolish the fort. And then you'll lose that throne, and they'll destroy the throne, and it's gone for forever. And so what will happen is the throne count of the world will gradually diminish until at one point there will only be, like, you might be the only person with the throne left, or you may have enough ascension points required to ascend. So it'll basically reduce thrones until somebody's left winning. So you could win by holding a lot of the thrones, and then when the cataclysm comes, just by virtue of having most, everybody's throne gets wiped out, but you have so many that yours hold out towards the end. Or you can focus on potentially fighting off horrors, and you won't be able to fight them off forever, but if you can fight them off longer than anyone else can, then you can win via that route. And because the cataclysm is happening so early, that's definitely something I want to take into account when I do my build. So anyway, that is part of it. And if you've never fought Doom Horrors before, go check them out on the Dominions 5 Mod Inspector. I'll put a link for that in this video too. If you are kind of a newer player, it is one of the best tools for Dominions to think about strategy and look at different units and kind of do comparisons and things like that. It's a great tool. I'll put a link for it. But yeah, in it, look up Doom Horrors, and there's actually a tag if you turn on advanced and stuff in the and the Mod Inspector, you can actually search for Doomhars. There's a few of them. Hunter of Heroes. Oh god, I can't remember all their names. Anyway, there's like 6 or 7 of them, and they're pretty scary. They can wipe out entire armies, but they also are killable. They're not by any means completely invulnerable. But they do have some interesting things on. That are common to a lot of them, like damage reversal and body ethereal. Or body ethereal. So yeah, that's definitely going to be a major consideration. The other consideration, of course, is going to be how well I can expand in the early game. But anyway, if you want to put build ideas below, awesome, do that. I think we're going to start sometime early in June. I don't know what date, but we'll see. Sometime early in June. So anyway, I hope you guys tune in. It should be fun. I hope I don't get my ass kicked, and I hope it makes for a really fun series to watch. I did have one last thing that I wanted to say, which is I really love these YouTuber series where you get multiple perspectives that go on video, because I think it gives you access to some of the really cool intricacies of the game, which are in the diplomacy. And this is just one of the best games for seeing really complicated diplomacy play out, and how alliances shift like that. You know, I mean, I don't want to get too philosophical here, but it even helps you kind of conceptualize and think about, history and things like that, how those things have played out, and like war theory and things like that. So, like I was studying the American Civil War for a while and thinking about it, and I would be lying if I said that you're reading about military strategy there and stuff, and it's not impacted by some of the things that you discover while playing this game, because they. A lot of the concepts do apply. Well, of course, the magic and other stuff doesn't. But the diplomacy and, troop movement and stuff, there's some definite commonalities there. Yeah, I think these YouTuber series are great because it really shows the real complexity of the game and the diplomacy. And yeah, I think that's just amazing. You don't really see that in many other games, and that's what I love so much about Dominions. So. Anyway, hope you guys tune in, and it should be a good series. Take care.